Hello from the Yarn Closet in Southern Arizona. I am Laura, your host. This is a Knitting and Life podcast. I am 52, legally blind, mother of 3. I live on a small hobby farm with not a lot of hobby in it right now. We've had cows, 4 cows. We've had 22 pigs. We've had 2 goats. We've had 4 turkeys. We've had 80 chickens, and an acre of garden. But right now we have none of the above. And that's okay because there are seasons. We dug in a pond last year because of the heat for a lot of the wildlife in the area, which of course we knew would attract what we like to watch and what we don't. And what we don't, we think got the rest of our chickens. Because we get on the game cams, mountain lions, coyotes, javelinas. Javelinas are wild pigs, wild boars. Skunks. My gosh, has there been a skunk issue? And am I saying all of them? I'm thinking. Anyway, coyotes, did I say coyotes? There are also some wild turkeys up here. Lots of cats. We've got one neighbor in particular that doesn't fix their cats. It's not always easy because it's so expensive. It can cost you $500, $600, $700 to have a cat spayed or neutered. And that seems insane to me. But there are a lot of trap, neuter, release programs. So if they are like outdoor feral farm cats and stuff, you can do that. They clip the ear. There's usually a small fee. Programs we've used have been $50 to $100 an animal, which is still maybe not feasible for you. And there are some that are free. Ask your local cat places if you need help. You can also usually borrow traps, live traps from them. So all of ours are fixed, but they're indoor, outdoor. We have one cat that since she came in August, has not gotten out. So that's like 7 months. Because she's too small. And we had another cat her size, but after about a week, and that cat was determined to get out. Determined. It had been a feral cat that was captured after a flood where some of its family had died. So we took on 3 of the kittens. The other 2, normal size, one's a little on the big size, and then her, and she's just super tiny, and she did disappear. Well, just before August, so the end of last summer. Now, I don't know if that's because she ended up at somebody else's house and they took her in and they're not letting her out, because that's feasible. That happens around here a fair amount. I'm in the Facebook group. I don't really do the social medias that much anymore. It was too much, and I still find myself over scrolling on the reels and shorts and whatever you call it on YouTube. And I try not to, but I don't like the doom scrolling. It's a bizarre way of relaxing because it doesn't really relax you. It just burns the hours. It's like if I wanted to be detached, back in our day, the big thing was don't be a drinker, because that's just masking The fact that you're not dealing with your emotions, or whether you're just detaching and wasting that time. Well, that's what doom scrolling feels like to me. So we've just detached for that amount of time. I like that it's not non-caloric. I don't really drink. I drink socially occasionally. I don't go out socially. We don't have friends that want to go out. We have a few friends / acquaintances through church or school. Nobody seems to want to go out anymore. I don't know. So here's the news. Remember this book? There are some really nice patterns in here. The interesting thing about the patterns is that many of them are textural. I've come to embrace the fact that as much as I want to be a multicolor knitter, I want to do the multicolored designs and whatever, I can't. I'm legally blind. I'm embracing the fact that small choices and adaptations build up over time and make me happier. So the problem is a lot of times texture stitches are like 4-row repeats that you have to remember. And unless they're really simple, that's hard for me. But this one is a wider pashmina shawl kind of thing. I really couldn't, even with magnification and the pictures that they give, I really couldn't figure out the texture. And so I really felt like they maybe had miswritten something or needed to, like it didn't make sense to me. So I started, and this is not as wide as they suggest, but I started, and I made it a little bit smaller, a 1/6 smaller. So 5 repeats smaller. Okay. Because if this is going to be, that's still plenty big. Like, honest to God, at this rate, I could make this into a sweater or a poncho for me because I'm very narrow in the shoulders. But I've learned I'm very narrow in the shoulders, but I need a little bit more width because I'm 52. So I was doing my own pattern that I thought I could remember in my head that seemed easy. And really it wasn't, because it was a multi thing. And I decided, skip it. I'm going to pull back, rip back, and start over. And I'm going to do their 1-row repeat. Because it didn't make sense to me, because I thought what I was seeing here was a row of knits. And it wasn't. My magnification and my blindness doesn't allow me to see in their pictures what the texture actually is. It's not knits. When you follow their instructions and do the 1-row repeat, it's like a garter stitch. And I do like it, and it is easy to remember, so I'm going with it. And it seems kind of fun to be knitting something that isn't a sweater. And there was a thing I was going through over the last few years, because so many of the sweaters I was knitting, I was giving away, or they weren't working for me. And I was feeling like when I have a sweater quantity of yarn, it's got to be a sweater because that's the high value item. It doesn't. It doesn't. This is Briggs & Little through Maritime Family Fibers. It's $7 a skein. So it's $35 worth of yarn. And I'm going to get a huge pashmina-like thing. I may want it to be even wider by the time I'm done. That would be a bummer. But I think I will still be happy with it being like this. And no, it won't be as pashmina drapey. But that's okay, because we really are having some colder winters. And if I don't make it gargantuan, it's certainly not heavy. Wool is not necessarily heavy. This stuff blooms so lovely and softens so lovely. What I like about it is, and they have soft spun and they have all this different stuff and Tuffy that you use for socks. I like the toothiness for my knitting. It makes it easier because I do much by hand, by feel. But it blooms so nicely and does soften up so much. You just have to trust the process. You have to trust the process. And I'm enjoying the texture that I'm getting. I'm following the pattern. And I don't know how these needles got such a weird kink in them. They've got a couple of really weird kinks that I can't quite get out, but I'm okay with it. I have not touched my ChowGoo interchangeables since I got the right one to do my Danish sweater. I am making slow progress on that. Because I'm still sitting here looking at my desert rainbow color yarn. And I don't know what to do with it. I'm thinking maybe pashmina-like thing. And then I get stuck between, am I going to hand knit it? And am I going to do it at single value, like single thread, because that's fingering weight? Or am I going to double it up and be more worsted, which make it a little bit faster, which is what I like. I really do like working with worsted, but I live in Arizona. But that will be more drapey. I'm thinking I may do the exact same pattern as I'm doing with this, but I'll use wooden needles and maybe I'll feather the colors in. That would be kind of fun. Are there any books that you have been reading, or knit reading that interest you?